I give her one kiss, she gives me two right back. She's 10 pounds of love in a 5-pound sack. 10 pounds of love in a 5-pound sack. Anyway, hey man, the Beat Daddies, 10 Pounds of Love was playing as I hit the start button, and my OCD won't let me let that go. Anyway, hey man, so Founders CBS Canadian breakfast stout, imperial stout brewed with chocolate and coffee, aged in maple syrup bourbon barrels. This particular incarnation was bottled on 10/4 of 19, so it's just a little over 2 months old as I pick it up. I'm not worried about age on a beer like this. Quite frankly, I don't worry about age on most beers, but that's a talk for another day. 11.3% is the ABV on this one. It tends to vary from year to year. There's been some controversy at Founders. Some are boycotting them. I know sales were down as I talked to local liquor guys. Sales were down on it this year. On the KBS and the CBS. And I wasn't necessarily boycotting it. I just wasn't going to buy it, mostly because the last experience I had with it, and it was probably 2012 or 2013, I just didn't like it. I felt that I just didn't feel like it came together right. There was too much maple syrup. It had a lot of lingering, cloying sweetness. It just didn't work for me, and I just wasn't impressed with it, especially for the price. And I'm talking 6-7 years ago. It was still running, about $5 a bottle back then. It was running 20 a 4-pack if you were allowed to get a 4-pack. A lot of stores were only selling the KBS and the CBS at that time as single bottles around here anyway. So the fact that you can get the 4-packs and get them rather readily shows you that either the hype is dying off or the controversy has hurt them a little bit. And as I looked around the stores this particular season, I saw it range from $20.98 to $24.98. I just wasn't going to pay it. Most had it for about $22 though. $21.98 seemed to be pretty much the going rate. I can't remember where I saw it at $20.98. It was a place I didn't expect to see it at, but then I never saw that price again. But as I went into a liquor store this past weekend looking for something else, they still had plenty on the shelf. They had four packs on the shelf, and the beer guy said they were down to their last case in the back. So, but since the season really for this should have been passed, it is odd that everybody still has some, so I can only say that the controversy has hurt them a little bit. But I picked it up, well, for two reasons. One, because it was still there, and one, it was $19.98. So I basically paid the same price for it at $5 a bottle that I paid for it about 6-7 years ago. The last time I purchased it. Anyway, I've been hearing good things about it, though. The beer guy that I dealt with is pretty accurate most. We don't agree on all things, but he does have a pretty accurate description of beers, and he said he liked this one. However, he did say he thought the maple was very pronounced. So that did worry me a little bit, because in my opinion, that's where the last one failed me. It's had too much maple. So I guess it depends on what you're looking for. And I will admit that I am rather sensitive to sweetness, especially as I get older. So anyway, let's check this out. Wow, the nose is nice, I gotta admit. The beer folks that I trust have said good things about it, which is another reason why I decided to break down and pick it up. Chocolate and coffee aged in maple syrup. I couldn't remember if this used bourbon, not bourbon, but vanilla as well, but it does not. I can't. I think it's too cold. I think it's too cold. Because I do feel coffee, I do feel chocolate, but I think the notes should round out a little more. I do get some vanilla on the nose due to the barrel aging, I am assuming. Asian bourbon barrels. I am kind of surprised. I don't know why, but I mean, I guess it's Canadian because it uses maple. But they should use Canadian whiskey barrels, They really should. I'm just saying. Get some Crown barrels or something, Really go Canadian on us. Oh. use Canadian mist barrels and lower the price a couple bucks. I don't, I'm just spitballing here. I'm getting a little maple on the nose, but to be honest, it's very light, and I think I've got this way too freaking cold. I should have let this sit. I actually let it sit out about 5 minutes before I popped it, but I probably should have let it sit out about 20-25. But as I've talked for, over 5 minutes and haven't taken a drink yet, in that time, those cocoa notes the chocolate notes have grown. All right. I think it will come together better as it warms up, but right now I'm going to tell you what I have. I get a lot of that stout sweetness, that big malt, combined with that maple syrup right up front. It's very sweet initially. As it breaks down, you feel more of those coffee notes. I really feel the coffee at the end, to be honest with you. But in the middle is where I get the chocolate. I get chocolate, vanilla, some deep toffee notes as well. It is good. It's good. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of go back and forth. At $20, $20 a 4-pack, 11.3. Yeah, probably. If I break that down, a lot of how I have to in my mind work through price is to break it down. If I take that price and cut it in half, let's say $11. Would I pay $10.98 for 22 ounces? Because 2 bottles 24 ounces, but a bomber's 22, so work with me. Would I pay $11 for a bomber of a 11.3% barrel-aged beer? And the answer is yes, because I've done it. I've done it on multiple occasions. But when something costs $20, you're thinking, oh, that's a lot of money for 4 beers. But if you break it down per ounce, yeah, it certainly, I don't know if I'll go so far as to say a value, but most barrel-aged beers do cost more than that, let's be honest. I mean, not all. I mean, I've paid for special for the variants or single barrel versions of the Materfamilias, the beer formerly known as MILF. I paid $15, but I've also paid $15 for the 4-packs of it. So I guess it just depends on how you break it down. And part of it for me is I am a bit of a purist. I like a beautifully done imperial stout aged in bourbon barrels. I want to see what that bourbon barrel will do to enhance that imperial stout. I'm not necessarily crazy about adding the flavors of coffee, chocolate, and maple, as it seems like everybody seems to have to. I mean, even the beer formerly known as MILF used cocoa and cocoa nibs and raisins, and I just don't think it needs to. But everything has to have something added to it. It seems like everything is coconut these days. Uh, I mean, I would love just to see a brewery just come out with an imperial stout aged in some bourbon barrels without a whole lot of crapola added to it, without a lot of hype. But that isn't going to happen. Because everything's about trends in the craft beer world. And that's unfortunate, because it used to be about quality and craftsmanship, and now it's about trends and clever marketing. To break this down a little further, now that it is warmed up a little bit, I'm going to skip a few steps and tell you that the texture, the mouthfeel, is exquisite. It is exactly what you want in a beer like this, in my opinion. It is very silky smooth. And now that I have let it warm up a little bit, those flavors are a little more cohesive. Whereas at first it's more staccato. You got this. Whereas now they've kind of come together more harmoniously. And the nose as well. Although I'm still, I mean, you do feel some maple in the nose, but it's not as big as I expected it to be. I do feel some of the bourbon barrel notes. I'm getting more bourbon barrels. I remember the last time I had it, seemed like all I got was maple all the way through. And here I am feeling those barrel notes, so that I like. So it is an enjoyable beer. Yeah, I mean, if you're into a style like this, it probably is worth the money. The founder situation, are they worth a boycott? Well, I mean, that depends on, on the situation, how you feel they handled the situation, and the resolution of the situation. For me, I probably won't buy founders as actively as I once did until I know they're on the right path. But I'm not going to outright boycott them either. Obviously, because I purchased this. I've heard arguments for both sides, and quite frankly, I'm able to pick bits and pieces out of both arguments that makes sense. I understand why those folks are boycotting it. I understand why folks are not. And for me, the answer lied somewhere in the middle. I mean, I'm not going to, it's not going to be a picket, but yeah, I mean, I'm not going to. As actively purchase the products as I once have. So there you go. As far as CBS goes as a whole, I like this incarnation. It is much better than the last incarnation. It is still a little bit sweet for my particular taste. However, I understand that, especially younger folks like the beers a lot sweeter than I tend to. I tend to not like as much sweetness as I did as a younger man. So there you go. I am Tom the Beer Whisperer, beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, purveyor wisdom man. All right, good guy. Cheers, y'all. Have a good one.